Hey, what? Don't stand in that puddle. Why? It could be dangerous. What? Lately, I've been doing a lot of fakemon which involve real Pokemon, like new evolutions, new forms, and even new counterparts. But what about the Pokemon that don't exist? Believe it or not, but even with over 1,000 Pokemon, there are still some creatures which have not been developed into silly, goofy little guys. So today, that's my job. Subscribe if you like Pokemon. Little known fact about me is that I love the Pokemon Zigzagoon, and frankly, I think it's downright criminal that we haven't received a worthy counterpart to Pokemon's best trash creature. Where I'm from, there's no such thing as a raccoon. I've literally never seen one in my entire life, and for once, I'm not being sarcastic. Hard to believe, I know. I promise, my tone of voice just always sounds like this. It's insufferable. So what do we have in Mirage Island, you may ask? We have possums. Not to be confused with opossums. I know that in America there are these creatures, and that's not what we have here. We have these. They're terrifying, and not what you want to see racing past you at 11 PM when you're almost home from the gym. So I've heard. From what I've heard, raccoons and tanukis, which are the inspiration animals for Zigzagoon, aren't generally well liked. And you know what? I get it. They can be kind of vicious and are more or less considered to be pests, so I mean, I wouldn't want to encounter one either. So you can kind of think of possums as the raccoons of the southern hemisphere, except they are marsupials, so they have pouches. They're generally disliked and can be quite vicious. You wouldn't want to run into one, I can promise you that one. On the other hand, they're incredibly cute, in my opinion, and probably my opinion alone. Maybe I'm just slightly strange, but I really love these little garbage cats with probably my whole heart, so that's essentially why I love Zigzagoon. It's just all the best parts of the creature I already like and put into my favorite video game. What's not to like? For my possum design, I want to achieve the same thing. Take a pest species that in the real world isn't the best, and then just make it baby in the context of the Pokemon world. This would actually be kind of a cool Pokemon to have in an Australia or New Zealand based region, but you know, one could only dream for one of those. Now, I wanted to give it something distinctive so that it isn't just straight up a possum, and so that's why I have given it this really big tail that it appears to lug around on its head. It's so big that it just can't drag it around, thus forcing this creature into a permanent hunchback. Although, when the time is right, it can unleash an enormous amount of power by throwing its tail at an opponent and knocking them out cold. This is very useful for getting out of dangerous situations, but it will have to ensure that its aim is true, as it will need some time to recharge before having the energy to flee. The coloring is pretty simple. I would imagine this is some Route 1 type Pokemon, so I'm not going to overcomplicate its design. We've got a mid-gray body with black eyes and brown accents, as well as some stripes to transition the two colors of the tail. Possums, or possi, I don't know what I've been pluralizing them as. I think it's possi. iCarly taught me that one. Okay, I actually just searched it up, and it is possums. And now I'm wondering if like the whole "it's actually possi" in that one iCarly episode was like a joke. I don't know. It seems kind of weird. Like, I just believed it. It wasn't much of a joke, if that's the intention. What the hell? Anyways, possums generally have these spindly fingers and sharp claws, so I've replicated the same thing here. But I've given it wide, flat feet so that it has maximum surface area for supporting its top heavy weight. The last little touch is to add little fur accents with a darker grey and some whiskers, and voila, it is time to move on. For my second Pokemon that doesn't exist, I decided to base it off a creature that I think is often overlooked when we think of the typical animals Game Freak have missed out, the leech. Now, we do have the Tynamo line, but they're more of an eel with leech features, mainly just the teeth, honestly. Now, my sketches are not flash, and I cycle through a few too many ideas which just didn't look quite right, so I'm just gonna do everyone a favor and skip ahead to the good one. So I finally settled on this base design, which is more or less depicting a leech that has latched onto something and is draining it of its life energy. There was a lot of conjunctions in one sentence. I'm truly hoping it makes sense. This is a Pokemon after all, so I feel like Game Freak, if they were to make a leech Pokemon, wouldn't have it explicitly draining blood, but perhaps it would in the manga. I mean, apparently anything goes there. Leeches aren't always just a solid color. Some of them do have stripes and other accents, so I've just put some here for now. I have also given my Leechmon a pair of eyes, eyes, and leeches do actually have eyes, but they're more like slugs and snails in the sense that their eyes serve the purpose of detecting changes in light intensity and direction, which can help them navigate their surroundings and survey their environment. To the naked eye, they also just look like little dots, but they are actual eyes when you look at them up close. Now, my leech Pokemon does not have these little dot eyes. I've actually given it big eyes. They look like Gen 1 eyes because, I don't know, I think this would be a cool Gen 1 Pokemon. It's a shame that ship has sailed. I have also given it a little tail at the end of its body because I just think it's funny and silly and seems like something a real Pokemon would have in this case. Now, I looked at a lot of images of leeches and generally they don't really have this tail tip when they're full, but I did notice that they have a defined head, which I found super interesting, and so I detailed that in my design here. I initially had a red-based color, which I thought would be a cool nod to its blood-draining abilities, but then it looked a bit weird, like kind of heat-more-pilled. I came to the conclusion that my color scheme was too warm, and so I gave it a cool color scheme, still using a red base, but adding a bit of blue so that it has a slight purple tinge. Now, I'm just getting this out of the way. I am colorblind. I know I remind you all the time, but these videos reach new people every single day, so I just want to make you fully aware that if I'm actually just straight up misinformed about which colors I'm using, I promise I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm telling you what I see with my eyes, which are not built like your standard run-of-the-mill eyes. They're quirky and different and serve as a barrier between me and my all-time dream of being an astronaut. I had to become a dentist instead. Brush your teeth 2 times a day. Okay, now I'm getting way off track. I did trial these orangey red stripes again, but they're just not looking quite good. I actually spent a decent chunk of time just trialing all different types of stripes before deciding no. Who needs them? My boy Leech doesn't. Name soon to be revealed. But before I can give that information away, we must draw the final Pokemon that doesn't exist. Enter the hummingbird. Hummingbirds are another creature that don't exist where I'm from. Again, I've never seen one in my entire life. For the fellow artists watching right now, I don't know about you, but bird wings are really hard to draw. I really don't like it. It's just something about the way they are. They really aren't an easy draw. I've always had trouble, and so I normally default to the closed wing, maybe one wing open, and even then it looks absolutely garbage. I'm not going to take the easy way out for this fakemon, however, because a closed-winged hummingbird just wouldn't make any sense at all. Like, it's technically possible, but why bother making a hummingbird fakemon if I'm just going to omit arguably the most defining feature of a hummingbird? So wings it is. I have to get good or get home. I don't know anymore. So firstly, I drew a Dorito, and that was my reference for the wing shape. And you know what? After all of that, wasn't that hard. These are the best wings I think I've ever drawn. A personal best, if you will. Still not amazing, but you know what? I like them, so they're staying. Now, you'll see that I drew the other wing incorrectly. Oh, I know. You can see the plumage on the inner wing, even though that should be impossible from this perspective, so just don't comment anything just yet. The final artwork is amazing. I promise. I promise. The specific species of hummingbird I'm basing my design from is the ruby-throated hummingbird. It's quite a beautiful creature and has features that really served well for a cartooned design. Once the bird was drawn, I decided to draw in a flower and actually have it be part of the Pokemon, but like, you know, not part of its body, more like a thing that it lives with, like Flabébé and its flowers. The colors ended up being very picky peck, but when I started to play around with the accents a little more, I came up with a nifty little idea. What if the flower that this Pokemon drinks nectar from can change its secondary typing? So essentially it will always have a primary flying type and, with the right flower, can be a pure flying type. But it can also drink nectar from one of 17 other flowers to get a new secondary typing. Kinda cool, right? Maybe if it terrestrializes, its flower will also terrestrialize, making it a pure stellar type. The possibilities are endless. Okay, I think it's finally time line to check out these non-existent Pokemon. I'm personally psyched for you guys to see them, so let's take a look. First up, we have Possum, the Possum Pokemon. It is a normal type that has the ability Tough Claws and the hidden ability Stakeout. It also has a brand new move called Tail Brush, which is a normal type move that deals 150 physical damage with 90 accuracy and has 5 PP. This move can hit every single opposing Pokemon on the battlefield and puts Possum to sleep after being used. Next, it is Leech, the Surgery Pokemon. It is a ground type that has a new ability called Poisonous Parcel. If this Pokemon or any allies on the battlefield become poisoned in battle, Leech will drain the poison and change into its full form, which you can see right now. In its full form, Leech and its allies are vulnerable to being poisoned. After 3 turns, it reverts back to its empty form, which means it can recover poison once more. And lastly, but not leastly, it is Varium, the Variance Pokemon. It is a flying normal type in its basic form, but it has the new ability Sweet Switch. This ability allows Varium to change its secondary typing depending on the flower it drinks nectar from. This can also allow it to become a pure flying type. Alright, those are a couple of Pokemon that don't exist yet, and hopefully one day we may see them appear in a real Pokemon game. Which one would you like to see become real? Let me know in the comments below. That's all for this week. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe to my channel if I will upload new videos every single Friday or Saturday if you live in Mirage Island just like me. Bye bye.